Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up podcast. That's Nick. I'm Theo. We're the DIU crew. You know where to find us. We're over on Twitter/X at DraftedUp_pod, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Search Drafted Up podcast, like, rate, subscribe, review. That's where you'll find the show. It is Thursday, end of January. We have our Super Bowl. We'll preview that next week because I forgot there's a week off between the championship games and the Super Bowl. So we'll go over the AFC and NFC championship games, and then to fill time, we're gonna give our pick'em for the awards. The NFL honors are this weekend, so we'll do a little pick'em there, and then of course we'll finish up the show with some prospect talk. Nicholas, how are you doing?
Doing good. Grinding tape, dude. It's the season, dude. Senior Bowl stuff. Tape watching.
Yeah, we're like 85, 86 days away from the NFL draft.
84, I believe. I think yesterday was 85.
I used to have the countdown on my computer, and it updated, so now my tab's all closed. So I don't have it accurately there.
It's around 80-ish. 80 some days. Yeah,
we're a little less than 3 months away. 83 days and 23 hours, to be exact.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, so episode after the Super Bowl, we'll do a quick Super Bowl rundown and we'll do a mock draft. And then we're going to take 2 weeks off and we'll be back for the combine, stuff like that. All right, so we got our Super Bowl. You want to start with the NFC or the AFC championship game?
Don't matter to me, dog.
All right, we'll just go in order.
I'm happy with both results here, so.
We'll just go in the order that happened. The NFC Championship game, the Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Washington Commanders. I don't have a score. It didn't pop up on the screen. 55
something.
So 55-23, a game that was way closer than that score implies. You look at that score, you're just like, wow. Like if you didn't watch the game, the Eagles blew them out. They really didn't. Washington hung around. Turnovers really got to them. And then it was the end of the game, them having to go for it on 4th down in their own territory. And the Eagles just kept capitalizing. But way closer than that score projects. But the Eagles were the better team on Sunday. Hats off to Washington and Dan Quinn and that crew. Incredible season from them.
Yeah, it was close until the fourth quarter started. Once the fourth quarter started, Philly outscored them
even in the
21
fourth quarter,
nothing.
Washington was only down 11.
Yeah, I get that, but they weren't coming back. Every time they would mess up, Philly took the opportunity and ran with it. And that's what good teams do. Like Washington made the mistakes that a young team's going to make, and Philly took every single one of them and took it to the max opportunity they possibly could have. Philly looked flawless on Sunday.
Yeah, they did. I think my favorite part of the game was the officials saying they could implement a score because Frankie Louvu kept fucking jumping the line on the tush push. Incredible.
Amazing. And if that would have happened to Kansas City, dude, the internet would have had a legitimate meltdown. It would have
imploded.
If they're like, the rest can give the Chiefs touchdowns, yada, yada, yada. I hate that we'll get there with Kansas City, Buffalo, but yeah, hats off to Washington for sure. Dan Quinn did an unbelievable job. This coaching staff, the organization from top to bottom. I'm super excited to see what the Commanders do this offseason. If it's anything like last season, they're going to put themselves in the best possible position for this season coming up. And I think, again, they can make another playoff run.
Off topic, did you see that the Sixers didn't congratulate the Eagles for making it to the Super Bowl until yesterday?
No.
Like, the internet was blowing up about it, like the Sixers, because the Washington owner also owns the Philadelphia Sixers. So
makes sense.
They didn't tweet, and it was all like, "Oh, Josh Harris, he's salty. The Eagles beat him, so he's not going to congratulate him." The Sixers social media team yesterday finally congratulated the Eagles for making it to the Super Bowl. So kind of a little humorous, and they might have been waiting on purpose because a bunch of the Eagles players were at the game yesterday.
I'm sure.
The day before with LeBron. Did you see LeBron not dap up Cooper DeJean?
Yeah, I did see him not dap up Coop.
Freaking
broke
LeBron.
My little heart.
He just saw a white. He saw a white guy there and was like, that guy don't play football.
But oh yeah, for sure. Back to Philly real quick. I've never seen an offense that's this explosive, and they're they're a run-first team. Like, the first play of the game, they broke a 60, 70-yard touchdown. Barkley took it to the house. And that was like the complete, like, that was the difference in these teams. Washington's first drive was an 18-play drive that ended in 3 points.
They went for it like 3 times on fourth down, yeah.
Philly took the field once, and they're like, oh, handed off to Barkley and took it to the house. This team is so explosive from the run game. They had 7 rushing touchdowns. Yeah. Over 200-some rushing yards. It's just unbelievable to watch. Like, they're fun. I don't care what people say.
I think the closest thing you have to that also in the AFC is Baltimore. Baltimore led the league in rushing yards as a whole, but their passing game's a little bit more dynamic than Philadelphia. Lamar, a better passer than Jalen Hurts, despite the lack of weapons for Lamar Jackson. But similar styles of two, just they're grinded out, Baltimore and Philadelphia, and they'll wear you down with those big plays if you got to. It's sort of like a Boise State with Ashton Jeanty. Like, you just go in, you're on the defense, like, hey, if we stop Ashton Jeanty, we'll win the game. But it's almost impossible to stop. And it was Saquon. It's, hey, we can hold Saquon Barkley. And at this point, it's like, hey, if we can hold Saquon to like 150 yards, I think we're good. I think we're in good grace. And
that was the crazy part. I would have said he had way more than 118 yards. He only had 118 yards. He had the 3 touchdowns, but I would have said he had around 150 again. He's just been on such a roll.
You'd figure that with the 60-yard touchdown run there for Barkley. An incredible run there. And does the Eagles' passing game worry you at all? Jalen Hurts, this was his best passing game in the playoffs. He was 225 yards, give or take.
246. 246.
It was last night. I stopped watching halfway through the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he was 20 for 28, 246, and a touchdown through the air, and then 3 through the ground. No, I'm not worried necessarily because they're able to put up 55 points with a mediocre pass game. They don't need a huge explosive pass game. And Kansas City plays close football, so I don't think they're going to be playing from. Yeah, I don't think Philly's going to be playing from far behind where they need to pass a ton. So I think Philly's a really good team to hang close here at Kansas City and make the Super Bowl a really close game.
Well, Kansas City in general, big. That's all they do. Plays close football games. So, in theory, the Super Bowl on 2 weeks from now should be a close one. But kudos to Philadelphia. You were right. I was wrong. I mean, I did pick the Eagles to win this game, but I didn't have the Eagles making the playoffs, and if I did, there was a wild card. I can't exactly remember. I know. I think I had him missing because I said Nick Sirianni was going to be fired midway through.
That sounds about right.
And this is all in spite of him. Like this, I don't know how much of Nick Sirianni is them doing this, but he's blessed with a great coaching staff as well. Kellen Moore, he looks like he's going to be the favorite to get the Saints job. Bless his heart, because that's a terrible situation. Nobody wants to be there. Hence why they haven't hired a coach.
I didn't even realize no one has signed with the Saints yet. I totally forgot that opening still out there. They
were supposed to interview Mike McCarthy on Friday, and Mike McCarthy pulled himself and said he's focusing on next year's coaching cycle.
As he should. He should take a year off. He did it with Green Bay.
It's really just Kellen Moore.
I work with a couple Eagles fans, and they're going to be heartbroken. We've talked about this a lot, and they were really worried about losing Kellen Moore and Hurts having to go through another coordinator. So that kind of bums me out that Kellen Moore does end up leaving.
At least he's not down the road of Baker Mayfield, who's had a different offensive coordinator every year he's been in the NFL.
Hurts has had he's had like 4 in the last 3 years or some shit like that because they fired one.
Yeah,
this will be 5 in the last 4 years.
Yeah,
that's crazy, dude.
8 for 8.
Yeah, I get it, but Hurts is literally on the same path, and Hurts is a guy that needs to kind of stick to a system.
And Drake May. Drake May's had
dating
back to high school.
Pro Bowler Drake May.
Yeah, Pro Bowler Drake May, my fucking guy.
The Pro Bowl's a joke, dude.
Yeah.
We should stop handing that out as an award.
I've listened to 2 podcasts today, and both of them have proposed doing a dunk contest at the Pro Bowl with NFL players, and count me in.
Ooh.
I'll fucking watch that. That'll be great.
Oh, would watch a dunk contest. Hell yeah. Give me a home run derby, too. Give me a home run derby, a dunk contest, the dodgeball game, and then still do that punt drop from a little drone thing. That's cool to watch. I like guys watching punts.
I don't even need the flag football game. Like,
no. Don't even play the flag football. I don't want that. Give me all this weird shit.
Give me a wiffle ball game with NFL players versus pro baseball players. Give me a pickup game between basketball NBA players and NFL players. Yeah. Just give me ridiculous sorts.
Yeah.
Golf. Give me a chip-in challenge.
Give me the ESPN Ocho with NFL guys. I don't need a flag football game. Give me them in weird situations.
Fix the problem. Bring back the race and the strongman stuff and the strongest arm.
Fastest man. Hell yeah. Obstacle course.
Give me all that. All right. AFC, as you know, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Buffalo Bills. They're going for the three-peat. Bills fell short. Chiefs win 32-29. Give me a 17-game series between just a season.
Unbelievable.
Bills Chiefs. Never fails.
In the regular season, the Bills would have a great record if they did that. But that playoff time would be a rough dog.
Yeah. Josh Allen. There was some stat. It's like in NFL history, there's been only 2 losses where a guy's thrown for 4+ touchdowns and 0 interceptions in playoff games, and they're both Josh Allen versus the Chiefs.
That's crazy, dude. Ugh.
Heartbreaking loss for them. Dalton Kincaid dropping that miracle throw from Josh Allen.
It was a miracle throw.
Kincaid should have held on to it, and at the same time, Josh Allen had Khalil Shakir just wide open in the flats, sort of like the P. Ryan catch that sealed the deal for Kansas City. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, insane pressure coming from the Steve Spagnuolo on Josh Allen.
That play was unbelievable by Spags. Like, the whole game, every third down, Spags was bringing the pressure to the heavy side of Buffalo's line. And Josh Allen kept picking up on that. And come the last play that they need to come, then get the first down, Spags switched it up, and Allen didn't realize the play call. And Spags brought the pressure from the light side on a corner blitz, and Allen couldn't make the read. He didn't see it coming. Spags saved the best play he had for the last opportunity he had. Like, that coaching staff in Kansas City is unbelievable, dude. And Andy Reid did the same thing with P. Ryan to seal the game. Like, that play was not ran once. Buffalo had no idea it was coming. Mm-hmm. These coaches in Kansas City are just built different, dude. And it's an unbelievably talented team with 2 of the best coaches in the NFL. And that was a big difference here. The coaching staff between Kansas City and Buffalo, it's night and day, dude. And Buffalo's got to start thinking about switching up something here if you can't get over the hump here.
So I think a big part of Kansas City's success is the fact that their coaching staff stays intact. Like, nobody wants Steve Spagnuolo because he's 68 100%. Years old. He's had 2 head coaching jobs, and they both weren't great.
Yeah, he's a below-average head coach.
Thriving here. I would interview him still. He's still a guy I would try to bring in, even if it's just to defeat Kansas City and just hope that pulling their coaching staff makes a difference there. But as long as Andy Reid and him are together, the Chiefs are going to be wrecking havoc. And don't even get me started on the Buffalo Bills play calling. Like, Joe Brady's done a phenomenal job.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievably dumb.
All year on offense for that team. Like, the Bills speak highly of him. Josh Allen loves him. He pulled himself out of the New Orleans job. Mm-hmm. But, like, why are you still running the tush push with Josh Allen, and then, like, Allen prefers to goes to the left, so he's not moving forward, so he's got to step back, move himself. So, like, the whole point of the tush push is gone because it's all about gaining momentum. Yeah. And, like, you had James Cook out there ripping up Kansas City. Why aren't you giving him the opportunity on a 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 to try to get the first down when clearly the tush push had a success rate for Buffalo of like 50%? Like, it was just not working for them.
It wasn't even, I think it was 2 for 8 on that day. It was horrendously bad, and they just kept trying it. Like, if you're going to try it, at least run it to the right once. Like, the difference between Buffalo's tush push and Philadelphia's tush push is insane, dude. Like, Hurts disappears into the line. And he's built so differently.
He's a lot smaller than Josh Allen, so it's easy but like,
he's
they also bring so much pressure from behind.
Well, exactly,
like,
and
you can't move Josh Allen like that, and then he's not moving forward at snap point.
No offense
like
to
Hurts
Buffalo's line. Buffalo's line is very good.
Philly's second best line in the league.
Exactly. Philly's offensive line is just so strong and so big. They move the pile a little bit. Hurts can squat like 500, 600 pounds. And then you're also bringing 2 guys from the back pushing. Philly has the right motto here with the push. Allen's too big to be running it, in my opinion. He's like 6'5", dude. Buffalo's play calls killed me, dude. Like, Everyone blames the refs, and it wasn't the refs. Buffalo had the ball down 3 points with 2.5 minutes left, and they just completely shit the bed. The play calls was horrendous, and
even,
nothing to do with Josh Allen.
And even with that, like, they had the chance to stop Kansas City. They had all 3 of their timeouts, and they gave up 2 first downs.
Exactly. It wasn't over when they ended up punting. But
that team was incredibly defeated at the end. Like, they were done, and it's tough. I can't imagine being a Bills fan or even being a member of the Bills and how frustrating it must be to
100%
go out, and this has been their outcome here 3 of the last 4 years.
But I will promise you this: he will get his. Allen will get his. Lamar will get his. These guys are too talented. It's literally the Peyton Manning.
Will Joe Burrow get his?
Now that's what scares me. So like these teams that are consistently good, the teams are always very easily they're quick to move on. They're quick and free. Like Philadelphia is very quick to make decisions. They're very quick to move on from things that they fucked up, and they're quick to move in free agents. Same with Kansas City. Kansas City is constantly bringing in these receivers. They're constantly bringing in guys that no one wants. Cincinnati's notoriously cheap. They're not quick to do anything. Hence, Jamar Chase still looking for a deal. Like Cincinnati's a worry situation compared to Buffalo and Baltimore. Like I'm confident Josh Allen and Lamar will win a Super Bowl in the next 5 to 10 years. I'm not going to say the same about Burrow, dude. I can't bet on Cincinnati like that. That's the fair problem. It's nothing against Burrow.
And also it's coaching too. Zach Taylor, you've heard me ramble on that guy. Not exactly the biggest fan of his. I think the Bengals need a true blue offensive, like, or not even offensive, like just a true blue, like just stable head coach, not Zach Taylor.
One that's proven.
Whereas like I also don't know if Sean McDermott's the guy for Buffalo either.
At this point, Sean McDermott is a very good coach, but he might have hit the wall. Like you just got to get over the hill. Like Andy Reid and Philly eventually hit that point, and they moved on, and both teams became better. Like Kansas City got Andy Reid, and they became what they are now. Philly ended up getting the Super Bowl ring down the road, and now they're back in the Super Bowl again. So I don't know. McDermott's a great coach. He's way better than Zach Taylor, but at some point, Buffalo might need to move on from Sean McDermott. Because it's not going to be Josh Allen. You're not moving on from Josh Allen. That's not going to happen.
They just got to get the upgraded version of Sean McDermott and Mike Tomlin.
Oh, the best.
Yeah.
I love that guy, dude.
Yeah. But Kansas City,
they're great. They're perfect.
They did one, and they did this without Travis Kelce, essentially. Like, he was no-showed this game.
Yeah. He had 5 or 6 straight games with 70 yards in a playoff, and he finished the game with 2 catches for 19 yards.
Yeah. Xavier Worthy was great, though.
Amazing, dude.
So Juju had some juice also? Like,
dude, Juju's been slowly bit more involved. Like, it's weird. He's come alive when they need him to. So it's a Kansas City thing. Like, they know when they need these guys to step up. And that's like the thing with Kansas City. They got Juju, they got Hopkins. Like, they got these guys that can show up in big time moments when they need.
That final drive, he did nothing all game. And he came in, he sealed that deal.
Yeah. And well, Kareem Hunt also looked great throughout the whole game. He had a tutty on the ground. And then when it mattered, they gave the ball to Pacheco, and he was sealing the deal.
And Pirine. Pirine played 0 snaps until that last drive where he caught that pass.
Exactly. Buffalo had no idea what was going to happen that play because Pirine wasn't on the field at all. They had no idea what was about to be ran. And Andy Reid was like, oh, hey, by the way, we have Samaje Perine, who had like 65 catches last year in Denver, and he just doesn't play with us. But when we need him, here he is.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City's just, they're perfect, dude.
So it's crazy. We'll preview the Super Bowl next week. Maybe we'll record a couple days early. Maybe we'll shoot to record on Monday.
Yeah.
Give the Super Bowl a 1 week show. We'll see what our schedules align there. Before we dive into NFL awards season, let's shout out our friends over in Philly, Cafe Colazzo. They got some good coffee. Three roast rate out right now. You know, your typical dark, medium, light roast. Incredibly fresh beans. You ground them yourself. Give you that satisfaction every morning of grinding those beans like we grind that tape, baby. Delicious, fresh brewed coffee. It's my favorite thing to start my morning. And of course, use the code DRAFTEDUP for a nice 10% discount at checkout. That's Cafe Collazo, Collazo. Support a nice little local brand and support the podcast if you're a coffee drinker like myself. Beans, they're the best. Grounds suck. Cafe Collazo, code drafted up for a nice 10% discount at checkout.
Yeah, what he said. Beans suck. What a weird, or no, yeah, wait, what suck?
Yeah,
Grounds suck.
Grounds suck.
That's a weird, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Coffee. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yep. All right, it is award season, not just in football. Oscars are coming.
Yeah. Golden Globes were last month.
Yep. So let's do some NFL honors here. We'll start with Coach of the Year. Nick will give you the odds. I don't have them in front of me, but our nominees for Coach of the Year. These are all NFL honors. These aren't just the
you want me to give the odds when you say their name?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to shoot through with a list after you're done?
Yeah, just shoot through the list, the order of like favored.
Okay.
So favored to least favored.
Cool.
We got Sean Payton of the Denver Broncos, Andy Reid of the Kansas City Chiefs, Dan Quinn of the Washington Commanders, Dan Campbell of the Detroit Lions, and Kevin O'Connell of my Minnesota Vikings.
All right. The draft order website on this Vegas Insider has way more names than you just said. So.
Okay, well, the NFL honors announced they're the 5 guys. So they should be.
They're not.
Okay, well.
Kevin O'Connell at -1,000. Dan Campbell at +575. Andy Reid at +750. Dan Quinn at +1,500. Jim Harbaugh at +2,000. Sean Payton at +4,000. Sean McVay at +5,000. Tomlin at +660. And Matt LaFleur at +8,000.
I was surprised that Harbaugh wasn't on this list, but
yeah, for sure.
I guess Sean Payton makes more sense than him.
Yeah, to take Denver to what they did
with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to be biased, and I'm going to say Kevin O'Connell should win this. So I will align with the favored. Minnesota had a 6.5, 7.5 projected point win total this year. Kevin O'Connell came out here, went 14-3 with the oldest roster in the NFL, with Sam Darnold at quarterback, with an offseason that didn't exactly start off hot. They lost Kyrie Jackson in that devastating car accident, and then J.J. McCarthy tore his MCL. So it was looking bad. Like I was down bad as a Vikings fan. I was like, this year, cool, writing it off. I don't have to worry, don't have to stress about anything. And it was the complete opposite. It was a hell of a ride. The Vikings were just playing with house money all year. And it's time Kevin O'Connell gets his flowers. He didn't get a Coach of the Year nomination even his first year when he went 13-3.
He wasn't nominated when Brian Dable won?
No.
I thought he was runner-up when Dable won. That's crazy. Nope. That's wild. I'll take... I'm going with Dan Quinn here. I get the Kevin O'Connell thing. I truly think he'll end up winning it. But what Dan Quinn did for Washington here with a rookie quarterback and a team that really only has Terry McLaurin on offense and a defense that got Bobby Wagner and a whole bunch of other guys, and they just kind of made it work there in Washington. And their defense started off really rough, but Dan Quinn is a defense genius, and he was able to turn that defense into a legitimate defense that got them to the NFC Championship with a rookie quarterback. They had the 2nd pick in the draft last year. That's an amazing turnaround in 1 year, to go from 2nd pick of the draft to a wild card team that almost beat the Eagles in the regular season to get the division. Like, they're only 2 games behind Philly, 12-5. Dan Quinn, unbelievable coach. You've seen it in Atlanta, what he did down there. I get he didn't pull off the Super Bowl dub, but I think Washington's going to get him to the Super Bowl at some point, and I think they're going to get a dub.
Man, imagine if the Cowboys had a coach like Dan Quinn.
Oh, imagine. That'd be a wild world.
No, and their offensive line was also bad. Like, you were a lot higher in Washington than most people. I thought they were gonna have a good year. I'd like Dan Quinn as a coach. I didn't see this coming whatsoever, but incredible year from them. If I had to make another pick besides Kevin O'Connell, Dan Quinn would be the shoe-in for me.
And that's where I'm at. If it's not Dan Quinn, I hope it's Kevin O'Connell. But I thought Washington could make the playoffs as a wild card team, but never in my life did I think they'd be 12-5 with an unbelievable offense like this. Jaden Daniels has looked unbelievable. So it's just unbelievable what Washington has done. It's amazing.
Yeah, media got it wrong. Everybody was on the Chicago wagon as the surprise potential playoff team. I wasn't. I was a way out on Chicago.
I was driving Washington's, but I was low key on Chicago's as well.
There's also nominees for assistant coach of the year. We don't have betting odds for that. The nominees are Aaron Glenn, the former defensive coordinator of the Lions, now head coach of the Jets. Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator of the Lions, now head coach of the Chicago Bears. Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills. Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings. And Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles.
I would assume Ben Johnson's the favorite if they had betting odds.
Yeah.
But I honestly think it should go to Vic Fangio, dude. Philly's defensive coordinator. What he was able to do with two rookie corners being Coop and Quinyon Mitchell. I get they have Slay, but these two rookie corners have came down and they locked down that secondary. That secondary was horrendous last year. And they turned that secondary into a legitimate nightmare to face. Quinyon Mitchell on the outside was an actual island. It was very similar to Darius Revis. Darrell Revis, when he was in his prime at the Jets, he's a legitimate island corner, which is a rare thing in the NFL today. Like, defensive players get no help. He didn't need it. And that line is unbelievable. They're bringing in guys off like free agent contracts.
And they weren't really generating a pass rush either. Like,
no,
from their edge rushers, at least. It was all interior force from Jalen Carter, who's an absolute menace.
Unbelievable, dude. And like, you're bringing in like guys like Nolan Smith, and you're getting the most out of him. And Jalix Hunt, who I loved coming out of the draft
Zach
this year.
Bond.
Zach Bond,
nobody.
A nobody from New Orleans, and he's turned him into arguably defensive player of the year caliber kind of guy. It's unbelievable what Vic Fangio has done with this defense. I would give it to him over any of the Detroit guys. Like, Detroit guys are dealing with a whole bunch of talent. Like, I get Vic Fangio is too, but what he did for that defense is crazy.
Aaron Glenn lost everybody in Detroit, and he was literally plucking dudes off the street.
The amount of injuries Detroit had, that's true. I didn't take that into consideration.
But I feel like Glenn and Ben Johnson almost cancel each other out. I would actually lean Joe Brady. I think Buffalo ran maybe the most efficient offense we maybe have ever seen in the NFL. They had with 4 turnovers all year.
Besides Allen.
Yeah, with Josh Allen and Deion Dawkins, who's an incredible left tackle, and James Cook, who's great. But the weapons wise, none of like Khalil Shakir, he's just a guy. Like, I love him, but he's no more than at best a number 2 wide receiver.
The receivers are horrendous. It's arguably one of the worst receiving crews in the NFL, and the tight ends completely shit the bed this year. And like we love James Cook on the podcast, and we've always been Cook supporters. But like, the average person doesn't look at James Cook as an elite NFL running back.
I think if you told the average person that, hey, that Buffalo Bills running back there, James Cook had 18 touchdowns, 20 if you count the playoffs,
they would have no idea.
Like, nah, there's no way, because like nobody's talking about him.
Exactly, they would have no idea, and he had under 1,000 yards too. So it was a super weird season.
Depending on the site, if you look at Pro Football Reference, he had 1,000 yards.
Weird. That's it. Yeah. What I've seen was like 960 or something like that for, I think, NFL.com. So maybe he got it the last week and I just missed something. But
yeah, this is 1,009.
Good for him. Got it locked down. I completely missed that. But
also, shout out James Cook. He wasn't in the line of blaming the officials for the Bills losing that football game.
That's because it can't be done. People are just doing that because it's a chief thing and it's the officials, yada yada yada. The officials had no outcome in that game. Yeah. It was Buffalo not being able to move the ball on 4th and 1.
Will Anderson kind of blamed the refs when the Texans lost to the Chiefs, but James Cook, kudos to him, not taking the easy route of
it's a bad move.
But I'm going Joe Brady. He'd be my pick. Shout out Brian Flores, though.
I get it.
I would have ranked him last, just because like it just didn't sustain over the year. Like, once you figure out Brian Flores' defense, it's incredibly beatable. But he's done wonders for Minnesota. He took a bunch of just ho-hum guys, and like Andrew Van Ginkel, for some reason not nominated for Defensive Player of the Year, should have been. But Brian Flores did a great job. I just want to give him a shout out. He wouldn't have got my vote at all, though. Of those guys, he would have been my fifth ranked guy.
Dude, you're telling me he's not nominated for Defensive Player of the Year, but this Vegas.com has him fourth.
Hey, man. No Van Ginkel on Defensive Player of the Year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, disrespect to my guy. Also, Nick Bonito not nominated for Defensive Player of the Year, and I thought Nick Bonito was incredible for Denver this year.
Unbelievable.
Right.
He's pretty well on this list, but he's also on it.
Yeah. All right, Comeback Player of the Year. The 5 nominees for that: Christian Gonzalez, the corner from the New England Patriots. I believe he tore his ACL or he had some sort of season-ending injury the year before. J.K. Dobbins, running back of the Los Angeles Chargers. He was tearing everything. He's been coming back for 4 years, and he finally came back. Joe Burrow, quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, coming off that serious wrist injury, missed half of last season. DeMar Hamlin, safety from Buffalo, still coming back from the heart attack.
I guess
we're putting him on there because he actually played this year and he played okay. And then quarterback Sam Darnold of the Minnesota Vikings. Who are you rolling with here?
I would pick Sam Darnold, dude. What he was able to do for Minnesota, like you said, literally with Kevin O'Connell, your season was done. It was done and over with in preseason, and Sam Darnold, who was literally counted out years ago with multiple different teams, was able to step on the field and get you guys to almost the 1 seed in the NFC, which had the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles, 2 legitimate stacked powerhouses. And then there was the Minnesota Vikings, who was right there with them. It doesn't matter how bad you guys looked in the last 2 games of the year. It doesn't matter. What Sam Darnold did this year was truly more unbelievable than Jaden Daniels did with the Commanders.
The issue with Sam Darnold is, though, what's he coming back from? Because he wasn't hurt.
Sucking. He's coming back from terrible.
He played for the Jets, so I guess that is worse than a devastating injury.
Exactly.
I don't want to disrespect DeMar Hamlin, but he came back last year. So,
dude, I'll disrespect that guy.
We're just putting him,
I get it.
It felt like they just didn't have
from sucking.
Yes, yeah. Joe Burrow, his wrist injury was really weird. Like, it was never like an NFL injury. It was like a baseball injury. So there wasn't like a lot of historical data to back up like how guys improve. I would love to give it to J.K. Dobbins just for the fact that he played most of this season. But
dude, it would be really cool to see Dobbins win, dude. And that's coming from me, who doesn't really like Dobbins.
Overall, I think Joe Burrow's going to win it just because Joe Burrow was a phenomenal this year. He had an MVP-like season on a shitty situation in Cincinnati. And had they won week 1, they would have been in the playoffs. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Crazy, but I would go with Burrow. But it should be Sam Darnold, just because he was just coming back from nothing, and he turned into he earned himself a contract next year.
Dude, he's gonna get paid, even if it's you guys on a 1-year deal or someone. I get the last couple games really, it took a lot of money out of his pocket. It really did. He could have got upwards to $50 million a year, Baker kind of deal, or more than Baker. But I think he's going to be getting like 20, 25, which is still an outlandish amount of money for 2 years ago. Everyone wrote off Darnold. He was done. He's a backup. Sam Darnold's going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL next year. Not a doubt in my mind. Not a doubt in my mind.
Minnesota was only paying him $10 million this year.
Cheap. Good deal.
All right, let's go to Defensive Rookie of the Year. Sort of what
Burrow is the long favorite to win that award. He's minus 4,000.
Okay, so big favorite.
Yeah, he's a big favorite.
All right, let's talk rookies. We'll do offensive and defensive rookie of the year. Sort of what we built this podcast on. We'll start with the defensive rookies of the year. We got Braden Fisk and Jared Verse, the linemen, edge rushers from the Los Angeles Rams. We got Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, the corners from the Philadelphia Eagles. Mm-hmm. And shout out to this one, Chop Robinson, edge rusher of the Miami Dolphins.
I love that. Yeah.
We were worried because, like, when we did our half year, like, Chop was just kind of floating around. He had some up, but, like, a lot of down, wasn't getting a lot of playing time. Mm-hmm. And, like, end of the year, Miami just let him loose, and he did an incredible job there for the Dolphins. I don't think he has a shot to win the award. I think it's going to be one of the duos there to win.
He's currently third in betting odds.
Wow. All right.
It's more so Verse and Quignon are at the top versus he's the favorite. He's minus 1,000. Quignon's plus 700. But then Chop separates the duos. Chop's in the middle, and then it's Fisk and Coop. So I love to see that. It's more so that I would assume they think that the duos are going to take votes from each other kind of thing, and Chop's just going to finish third. But I love that all five of these guys are getting nods for Defensive Player of the Year. I wasn't huge on Fisk coming out.
Rookie of the Year.
Or Defensive Rookie of the Year. That's what I meant. Yeah. But I wasn't huge on Fisk coming out. But like Fisk with Verse, both Florida State guys, it's just an unbelievable combination there for the Rams. And Quignon and Cooper, my cornerback 1 and 2. And for them to be teaming up, it's unbelievable. And it showed in Philly. Like they turned that defensive secondary into a nightmare to play. It's great.
I'm just glad we were right on Cooper DeJean.
Dude,
like, being right on Quignon Mitchell, I'm fine with. Like I'm not gonna boast about that one because a lot of people were all in on Quignon. He even fell. Minnesota turned down, like passed on him over Dallas, picked Dallas Turner, which is fine. Dallas Turner, he played much better at the end of the year compared to the beginning of the season. But Cooper DeJean fell to the second round, and like he was like top 7 on my big board. Like
he was like my 6th or 7th overall player.
Yeah,
he was unbelievable coming out of Iowa. Like his floor was super safe. The safety to corner. It doesn't matter where you're playing him. He's going to flourish. But then his ceiling, people didn't realize. Like Coop's ceiling was as high as everyone in that draft last season, dude.
Like I think it was medicals. Like we obviously we're just 2 dudes who were just scouting.
We don't get medical
scouts,
reports.
Baby. We don't get any of that insider stuff. It's just what we're seeing with our eyes. It's a tough one. I agree with the betting odds, though. I do think Jared Verse and Quignon Mitchell are the 2 favorites. Quignon doesn't have the flashy stats, but that's because he wasn't targeted. They weren't throwing the ball at him. He had one or 2 interceptions on the season.
He had 1.
Jared Verse was incredible for the Rams. That dude was a menace in the backfield for them. Braden Fish, shout out him too. Like he played much better than I thought he was going to.
Hell yeah.
I think up until like a few weeks ago, I would have said this was a lock for Jared Verse, but I think
agree.
I would go with Quignon Mitchell.
I really hope Quignon's able to swing this, dude. Like it's nothing against Jared Verse, and I get what he's done. He's really stepped in the role of Aaron Donald, and he's really flourished in that role of the Rams pass rusher. He's not obviously Aaron Donald. No one's Aaron Donald. But Jared Verse and Brandon Fisk have done a flawless job of filling that hole of Aaron Donald.
Yeah, and Kobe Turner, 2-year player. He
was
next to Aaron Donald, and he's been, and did you mention Byron Young too?
I didn't, but yeah,
great line there in L.A.
4 really young defensive linemen. But yeah, I hope Quignon swings it. I don't think he's gonna be able to. I think Jared Verse he's got that on lock all season, so I think they're just gonna end up giving it to him, just because Quignon doesn't have the flashy stats.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, Offensive Rookie of the Year. This one's pretty much a no-brainer, but we'll run down these players. We got Malik Neighbors, the wide receiver from your New York Giants. We got Bo Nix, the quarterback of the Denver Broncos. Brock Bowers, tight end of the Las Vegas Raiders. My guy, Brian Thomas Jr., the Jacksonville Jaguars wide receiver. And Jaden Daniels, quarterback of the Washington Commanders. I was going to call them Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Raiders. I was going
that's true.
Way back in the time machine.
Way back. Before my day, for sure.
Yeah.
Who you got here?
I mean, it's obviously Jaden Daniels. 12-5. Washington was incredible. His numbers were out of this world. It should be him, but what a group. And like this is excluding Bucky Irving, who 1,000-yard running back. Marv didn't do much this year, so you're not going to see him. Same with like Roma Dunze. Caleb Williams had a nice year, just wasn't lived up to the number 1 pick. I guess offensive linemen don't get any love for Rookie of the Year nominations because Joe Alt was incredible this year.
Dumb. There were so many good young offensive linemen. Drake May made the Pro Bowl.
Lineman of the Year award.
We'll get there.
Who would you give that to? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh my God, probably. My God, I'm blanking on his name. Kansas City's guard that had to slide out to
Joe
right
Tooney.
tackle.
Joe
Yes,
Tooney?
and
Okay.
yes.
All right. I would have went opposite side of that Super Bowl and went with left tackle Jordan Mailata. I think he's the best left tackle in football.
Yeah, probably. I was just more so giving it to him, Joe Tunney, because he had to switch. He's an all-pro guard, and then the right tackle went down, and they had to slide him out there, and it's been almost flawless in the transition.
Yeah.
So to go from all-pro guard to being a really good right tackle and a drop of a hat, that's what you wanted, guys. And there's a lot of guys in this draft class that can do that, dude.
You could have even said Creed Humphrey for the Chiefs, best center in the league.
Easily the best center now that Kelsey's retired.
Deion Dawkins, Bill's offensive tackle, that like brought up in the presser, like, hey, get us an award. And Deion Dawkins also probably should get a nom.
Amazing. Deion Dawkins is one of the best tackles in football, for sure.
But these guys, like Brian Thomas Jr., I can rave about him for days. He was out of this world for the Jaguars.
Just going down the list, like Jaden Daniels, probably the greatest rookie season for a quarterback of all time. Brock Bowers, the most catches for a tight end in history. Not rookie
the greatest tight end season of all time.
Exactly. Malik Neighbors broke the Giants' rookie catches broke the catchy record for receivers or some crazy shit like that. Brian Thomas Jr. is one of only like 4 receivers to have like 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns in a season. Bo Nix took the Broncos to the playoffs. Like, Caleb Williams is still Caleb Williams, and now he has Ben Johnson. Like, this draft class was amazing, dude, and it's shown so like full force how good this draft class is.
Any other year, you could make an easy case for any one of these guys. That's not Jaden Daniels.
Any one of them is 9 out of 10 times winning Rookie of the Year in any other draft class. They just historically down the list are amazing.
So who would you put 2? Who's the runner up? Who's the next guy in line after Jaden Daniels out of those 4? Like
Brian Thomas Jr.
Oh wow! I was going Bowers. Just best player in his position already. 1 season. That's where I lean in.
Brock Bowers was supposed to do this, not to this level.
Well, I mean, but if you ask a certain guy on this podcast, Brian Thomas Jr. was supposed to do this.
Not to be like, he finished wide receiver like 4 in fantasy football. That doesn't happen for a rookie receiver when your quarterback gets hurt halfway through the year on a team that was legitimate dog shit all season.
Duval.
Duval.
What was with the head
Duval. Dude, he's a joke. He did do it in an interview yesterday, and he hit it correctly. He did it way better.
Yes.
Bad vibes down there in Jacksonville.
Yeah. It worked for Nick Sirianni. It worked for Dan Campbell. It's work. And pretty much, if you have a bad presser, you're usually turning out okay.
Then Ben Johnson's doomed, because I've never seen a man go into a presser and lock down everybody in a room like that. Ben Johnson was
Arthur Smith had an incredible presser when he was named the Falcons head coach.
He did. Like,
he had me sold. I'm like, oh, this guy, I'm ready. Run through walls. Falcons are going to win a Super Bowl with Arthur Smith. They did not. But yeah, this rookie class this year, shout out that they were incredible. Even the defensive guys showed up, and it was deemed a weak defensive class.
Yeah, and the top guys still showed up and balled out, and you love to see it. Jaden Daniels is the favorite here at -1,000.
Only -1,000.
Next up, though, is Brock Bowers, though, at +3,000. So it's not even close, dude.
All right, defensive player of the year. We got T.J. Watt, edge rusher of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Zach Bond, linebacker of the Philadelphia Eagles, Patrick Surtain, the second corner from the Denver Broncos, Trey Hendrickson, edge rusher of the Cincinnati Bengals, and Myles Garrett, edge rusher of the Cleveland Browns. This one's kind of tough because none of these guys really stick out. Like TJ Watt, name value, maybe the best edge rusher in football. Dude didn't record a stat the last 7 weeks of football.
Yeah, the last 6-7 weeks, he literally didn't have a tackle for a loss, assisted tackle, forced nothing. He didn't produce a single stat for weeks. And it's super weird because he's currently the betting odds favorite to win this award at -130. So it's super low. but it's him and then Surtain at plus 150, and Surtain's my pick.
Surtain's my pick as well.
Okay.
Like we brought up with Quignon, island corners, and no one's better than Pat Surtain.
It's such a rarity in the NFL corner. Yeah. Surtain is the best cornerback in football.
Hands down
this year.
He's proven incredible.
Yeah, this year has gone to Patrick Surtain. And it's just shown like what he was able to do for Denver's defense. And he missed a game or two, and it really showed, dude. Like their defense was just drastically different without Surtain there. And it's so rare that a corner can make this such of an impact on a team, dude. And
he's doing it year in, year out. Like he's consistent too. Like corner tape, like we brought up, like watching corners, it's so up and down. Yep. Like, and he's sustained 3 great years of football. I was going to bring up Myles Garrett. I thought maybe I couldn't remember if he won last year or ever won it, and maybe they're just going to give it to him so he has it on his mantle. But he did win last year. He actually won a player's survey. A player survey was released, and Myles Garrett was voted Defensive Player of the Year. Trey Hendrickson led the league in sacks, but like otherwise, the Bengals' defense was atrocious, and Trey Hendrickson might be like the quietest sack leading season ever. Like Trey Hendrickson was great
for sure.
He was incredible for Cincinnati, but it kind of gets lost in the shuffle because the Bengals missed the playoffs, and Joe Burrow led the league in every passing category. Jamar Chase won the Triple Crown at wide receiver. They had the sack leader in Trey Hendrickson, and they amounted to nothing.
Yeah, Cincinnati's such a weird thing, dude. But yeah, TJ Watt's the favorite, then Surtain, Garrett, Hendrickson, and then Vaughn.
We didn't even talk about Zach Vaughn. Incredible year off the street for him. TJ Watt, honestly, I probably would have put 5th. I would have.
I agree. Like, I don't think he should win this. No offense, TJ Watt. He's an unbelievable player. But, like, I think Cam Hayward had more of an impact on the Steelers' defense this year than TJ Watt did. Like, Cam Hayward arguably had the best season of his career, and he's 33, 34 years old on the back end of his career. And he went out there and carried that defense from a defensive tackle standpoint. I love Cam Hayward. I think he should be up for this award over TJ Watt. No offense, TJ Watt, though.
I'm surprised that Zach Vaughn was nominated over Jalen Carter, though, if they were going to put an Eagle on there.
Yeah, I agree. But I think Vaughn's had more of an impact from just a full defense standpoint. Like, he's kind of the mic'd up linebacker here and there. And he's gonna get paid in the offseason, brother. He's going to get a bunch of money in the offseason. It's probably not going to be from Philadelphia because they don't pay linebackers. No, yeah. Philly doesn't really value linebackers. It shows in the draft. It shows in free agency, too. Like, they don't spend money on linebackers, and they don't spend high draft capital on linebackers. They're able to get guys like Nakobe Dean who fall because of size and injury in the draft and are unbelievable players for them. So Philly knows what they're doing when it comes to draft standpoint. So
yeah,
but that's a hard one to replace.
Shout out Nick Bonito and Andrew Van Ginkel. I think they should have got a nod here as well. I thought they had great seasons, but yeah, I'm going with the running mate of Nick Bonito and Pat Surtain II.
Yeah, I agree. I got Surtain down here. I think he should get the dub.
Offensive Player of the Year. I don't like the quarterbacks are on this list because they take over the MVP votes. But
I agree.
Joe Burrow, quarterback of the Bengals, Lamar Jackson, quarterback of the Ravens, nominated here for Offensive Player of the Year. And then we got Derrick Henry, Ravens running back, Jamar Chase, Bengals wide receiver, and then, of course, Saquon Barkley, running back of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Big dog. This is the biggest favorite. It's Barkley minus 5,000.
Yeah. It's Barkley. They're giving Barkley this award because he's not going to win MVP because he's a running back. And tough sledding here for Jamar Chase, who had a phenomenal season at wide receiver. Any other year, he's probably the easy front runner for Offensive 100%. Player of the Year. Even Derrick Henry had 1,900 rushing yards. But Saquon Barkley, 2,000. Shayshawn Barkley.
Dude, that video had me almost in tears. Oh, I was dying, dude. So funny, dude. They got Shaquan Barkley. They got Shaquan Barkley.
Yeah. Saquon, God, incredible season. Completely blew out what I thought. Like, I was worried about the touchdowns. And, I mean, that even happened. Like, he would go down at the one, and
what
Hurts was vulturing touchdowns.
Still happens.
But he had so many big explosive rushing plays for touchdowns. that it negated all of that. And, 13 touchdowns on the year, 2,005 rushing yards, 345 carries, career highs across the board. First time he's ever broke 300 carries. Double-digit touchdowns for the first time since 2022. He had 10. But this was a generational talent. He was drafted to be his best season by
Easily.
far. And like, he also wasn't a product in the passing game, which was also my worry. Like, the Eagles don't throw the runway. Career low in targets in a full season. He had the season where he played 2 games. He only had 9 targets, but 43 targets this year. So, like, wasn't involved. He was just so good in the run game.
He was used in the pass game here and there. He was very spaced out throughout the season. But his running game was just consistent from week 1 to week 17. It was just all there. It was there consistently throughout a season. And I think as long as Saquon Barkley is healthy, he's going to be in the running for Offensive Player of the Year, fantasy running back 1 every single year in Philadelphia. Philadelphia always has a good running back.
As long as their line stays healthy as well. That's also a key.
That is true. Like going back, Miles Sanders was amazing. They brought in Swift, who was really good in Philly. And now it's Barkley. And as long as it's healthy, everyone stays good to go, Barkley's going to be sitting at the top of a lot of these lists.
Yeah. Barkley is a no-brainer for me, but do want to give Jamar Chase some love. He had an incredible season there for the Bengals.
Triple crown, dude.
Pay that dude, Cincinnati. Pay him handsomely and pay his running mate. Keep this core together, and you have a shot to do something. Like, this is a special team. It's a matter of just putting it all together for them.
They came out in a presser, the GM, I believe, and everything he said about Chase was right. About they're going to sit down, they're going to get the deal. They have comparable numbers to guys at the position that are getting paid, and it's Jefferson. They're going to go off the Jefferson deal.
He should get more than Jefferson, just based on resetting the market, and this year best receiver.
And they should bump it up 8% because of this face value market on the economy and what he did this year. I think Chase for sure is going to be a Bengal next year. I don't think we have to worry about that. T. Higgins, though, on the other hand, we kind of have to. That's where the big discussion is going to be for the Bengals offseason.
Well, if Joe Burrow has any say in that organization, T. Higgins will be back. He has been adamant about.
But the problem is the owner doesn't give a flying fuck what Joe Burrow thinks. It's about money in his pockets.
Cincinnati can afford. They have a lot of cap room. They can afford 100%. To sign these guys. It helps having Chase Brown making no money. I do think they're going to franchise T. Higgins, though, and try to figure it out.
I think it's best for the Bengals, and I think it's best for T if both parties stay together.
Yeah,
I really do.
I really I do love the idea of T. Higgins with Drake May. That feels special to me, but that's just because I think so highly of Drake May.
It does, but like he's not better than Joe. No, and it comes down to I don't really trust New England, though they did bring in what's his face. He's back in their offensive coordinator.
Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels is back in Hounded. I love that. He's a great offensive coordinator. I think he's going to do wonders with Drake May.
But shoot, maybe they get Tet. Maybe they get Tet McMillan.
I would rather them bring in a rookie for sure.
Or trade back or trade up and get Luther Burden.
Hey,
he kind of would fill in that Julian Edelman role there nicely.
I would be really cool with a Deebo Samuel in New England. I think that would be a good fit.
I think that's the only relevance Deebo's going to get if he goes.
I think Deebo's got some stuff, but that's later talk. We don't need to talk about that.
MVP,
baby.
The aforementioned Saquon Barkley, running back of the Philadelphia Eagles, Joe Burrow, Bengals quarterback, Lamar Jackson, Ravens quarterback, and then the 2 outliers not nominated for Offensive Player of the Year, Jared Goff, the quarterback of the Lions, and Joshua Patrick Allen, the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills.
It's crazy that he's not nominated for Offensive Player of the Year, but he's the betting favorite to win MVP.
Really?
Yes,
betting?
He is.
Okay.
He is minus 300. Lamar is plus 240. So Allen is the favorite to win MVP.
I would assume Allen's not on Offensive Player of the Year because his numbers aren't spectacular compared to those other guys. Like Lamar's numbers are insane. And
they are. They're crazy.
I do think Lamar wins MVP just because he was the first team All-Pro quarterback, and they're the same guys voting for MVP. So it's kind of like peek behind the curtain there. I think it should be Josh Allen. I think
they're
should
gonna
be
give
Josh Allen.
I think they're going to give one to one guy and then one to the other one because of how close it's really been all season. But I think Allen, without Allen on Buffalo, they're horrendous. They're absolutely horrendous. Like, it's nothing to take away from Lamar and what he did for Baltimore. But at the end of the day, a team with Derrick Henry as the running back is still going to win 6-7 games.
Yard receiver.
And Hardball as a coach, like Hardball's not going to have a bad season. He's just not going to allow it. It's a Mike Tomlin effect.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take away Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills, they are absolutely horrendous. They have no receivers. Their tight ends completely dropped the ball this year, literally dropped the ball on the fourth down catch. It's Josh Allen. In my eyes, Josh Allen is the MVP of the season. 100%.
I agree. Like what he did with the Bills offense and how efficient that was. He had like 4 turnovers all year. And that's the big gripe on Josh Allen. All he does is turn the ball over. He fixed that.
Yeah,
he fixed it well. I get the numbers don't look great. He was under 28 touchdowns. He had 13 rushing, 4 interceptions. Like the numbers just look ho-hum. But Lamar Jackson's numbers last year weren't spectacular. Won MVP because he was so efficient. And that's the case here with Josh Allen. He's so important to Buffalo, like you said. Like, they have a great offensive line. Deion Dawkins, one of the best left tackles in football. James Cook, in our eyes, we love James Cook. We value James Cook. He's not valued like across the league. And
no,
I don't even know how valued he is in Buffalo that they're not giving him the ball in important situations.
That's true. That last drive, he literally had a carry.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating to like what's going on in Buffalo with Josh Allen, but he's the guy. I sat here all offseason preaching how worried I was about the lack of weapons with Josh Allen, and it's not going to happen again. I will never, ever doubt Josh Allen's ability to make the most out of any situation he's given. He's super athletic. He's a legitimate NFL superstar. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the world, if not the best quarterback in the world today. It's him and Mahomes, and then Lamar. I got nothing else to say. Like, well, Josh Allen's the MVP. In my head, it's still Saquon Barkley, but he's not going to win it. So I've counted him out. It's Allen and Lamar, and if I had to give it to one of those guys, I'm giving it to Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen absolutely deserves it. It feels like early LeBron with the Cavaliers, where he was just LeBron and a bunch of nobodies. Mo Williams, Delonte West, Drew Gooden. Like the second best player on the team was always like Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
Yeah.
Who's just a run-of-the-mill center, and that's what this feels like with Josh Allen here. He's LeBron, and then he's just got a bunch of role players, and he can literally carry anybody. Take them to the mountaintop, and LeBron never had to encounter someone like Patrick Mahomes on the other side of the field, he's not in his case. He wasn't playing Kobe because he played in the East, where Josh Allen is constantly running into Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson, absolute units, superstars. But Josh Allen is my pick. He should win MVP.
Yeah, I agree. Couldn't have said it better myself. Allen's my MVP.
All right.
Well, Barkley.
Well, he'll win Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. You ready to talk prospects?
Yeah, I'm excited because you didn't give me a name, so I honestly have no idea who the hell you're doing.
Yeah, I was still trying to figure that out, and I figured that out right before recording. I had a couple guys who I wanted to talk about. But before we go into that, let's shout out our friends over at W Energy. W prides itself on full transparency and ingredient disclosure. No sugars, no calories, no artificial dyes, no fillers. They got a mobile app. Search WDUBBY on your Apple App Store or your Google Play Store. They'll be there. You can order from the app. Or they have a website, www.dubby.gg. That's WDUBBY. They also have non-caffeinated products. If you just want to boost your water intake, get some hydration flavor in there. They got stuff like that. They got merch, a duffel bag, all kinds of stuff, shakers. You name it, they probably got it. They got some good flavors as well. They dropped 2 new flavors. One's like a blue raspberry grape, and the other one's like a blue fruit punch. So might dive into them. But, of course, there's a code at checkout. Draft it up for a nice 10% discount on your order. Go support our friends over at W Energy. That's W Energy, DUBBY. Be better with W.
Yeah, eat that dub.
There you go.
W Energy.
Yeah. All right, Senior Bowl was Senior Bowl practices are going on
Day
currently. Shrine Bowl is on as we're recording.
Mm-hmm.
So Senior Bowl stuff, a lot of guys looking good. Our dude Mike Green, edge rusher from Marshall. Look up him bull rushing Josh Connerly, offensive tackle from Oregon, who I like. I think Josh Connerly, first round
no
pick.
sweat, dude. Yeah, he's a dog. He's probably the best tackle at the Senior Bowl.
And Mike Green put this man in the ground, gave him a dirt nap.
He dogged him, dude.
Shout out though, Josh Connerly. They did run a rep right after that, and Josh Connerly he did get the better of him, but
he got him
that
the next
moment
rep,
where Mike Green ran him over was incredible. Give him a shout out. That's one of our guys, Mike Green.
On our prospect thing here, I thought he was going to be a second round guy, and I'm eating those words, dude. He's going to be a first round pick.
I said I had a first round grade on him. I know.
Yeah,
you know who he reminds me of? Brian
Trent
Burns.
Cole. Okay.
Brian Burns. Okay. Yeah. Not as beefy as Trent Cole. Trent Cole's a little beefy man.
But he plays like very similar.
Stature,
for sure.
Kind of reminds me of Brian Burns, a little quick, athletic guy.
I see that.
Yeah.
Undersized a little bit. Mm-hmm. I dig it.
Yeah. Some other guys at the Senior Bowl. Jack Becksch, cornerback or wide receiver from TCU. Dude. I can't wait to dive into his tape. He's giving me Lad McConkey vibes, the way he's moving around the field.
Unbelievable.
Hell yeah.
He's such a natural catcher too. Like the ball's hitting him splendidly, dude.
And he's gonna have that sad draft time story as well. His brother was killed in that New Orleans attack.
Eat it up, dude.
And he did an interview and they asked him like, hey, what was like the best advice your brother could ever give you? Because his brother played football at Princeton, and he was just like, never let the first guy tackle you. I love that.
And they don't.
Yeah.
And like you watch Beck, like I've watched a game or two here and there, and I'm excited to dive into him because I love both the guys there.
Savion Williams, He giving me Cordarrelle Patterson vibes, baby.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. Like he's I'm excited for the receiver class isn't great, but from
there's some gems though.
4 to 15, you can kind of throw in anybody you want, and I wouldn't bat an eye.
Your boy Miami, Xavier Restrepo. He's
Restrepo,
route running machine. Both Iowa State guys. I previewed Jaden Higgins here, the big boy. He's having a nice little Senior Bowl. Shifty feet for a guy who's 6'4", and Jalen Knoll, the other receiver there.
Knowles
he might be the best route runner,
dude. Yeah,
in the class.
Probably is.
Tiny though. Tez Johnson, he came in at 156, but man, he's looked great in practice. Like no one's touching this dude.
He's not going to play at 156. He's going to play like 165. He's going to beef up a little for the combine.
His routes are crisp. His footwork's great. Like I was worried when I saw the weight, but like I don't know if I can push him down too far because he's so good.
Every small wide receiver who can separate, I'm always like, oh, he looks like Tank Dell. No, he looks like Tank Dell. Tez looks like Tank Dell. Yeah. And when Tank Dell was at the Senior Bowl,
though. Like, but he is. Tez Johnson's 6'1".
The way he dips off routes, he's quick on cuts. He separates. He looks great, dude.
He's Xavier Worthy with Tank Dell's route running abilities, but not Xavier Worthy's speed. He's got the same build as Worthy, slender, taller, incredibly crisp though, like Tank Dell.
I dig it a lot, dude. For sure.
And then the tight end class, this tight end class gets deeper and deeper every time I watch it.
The tight end class is crazy,
off
dude.
target here. We haven't had a face-to-face talk about the Senior Bowl yet.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the Senior Bowl at
all. Miami's tight end. He's one of my favorites. You can't convince me. Like that dude, 251, 6'4", 251. Bro's looking like a receiver out there.
But he moves like a receiver, dude.
Howard Fanning's been a little shaky, but he's still got a lot. I love his game. It kind of reminds me of Jonnu Smith. Like same kind of skill set. I love him, and
what's his face from Pitt looks pretty good.
Yeah, Gavin Bartholomew.
Right? Yeah, Bartholomew's looked pretty good. Ferguson from Oregon is amazing.
Yeah. Oregon wasn't overly getting him involved, but he's like a classic, like does his job type tight end, like perfect tight end 3.
Mason Taylor's doing everything as well. Like he just looks like a complete package of tight end.
Son of Jason Taylor. Former Dolphins edge rusher. Yeah,
he has like the body, the build. He's on paper. He's got everything.
Yeah,
the tight end class is so deep, dude. I love it.
And shout out to the offensive line. I was real down on this offensive line class. They've looked great against a really deep defensive line class here at the Senior Bowl. Gray Zabel from North Dakota State.
Dude,
He's a tackle, but they're moving him interior and
Graham Barton,
center
dude.
guard. Yeah, I think he's a top 50 pick. I think we'll be seeing him early second round. And then
I agree.
Josh Connolly's had some good reps. Anthony Belton, big body from NC State, 6'6", 350. He's looked great. I was really impressed with how the Lions played, and that's without the big guy. Will Campbell's not down there.
I was going to say the top guys
there.
aren't there. Yeah,
so
and that's amazing to watch.
Shot for these guys to move up the boards. But let's talk.
Who referred to it? It was either it was the guy that does. It's Field Yates referred to the running backs, the defensive ends.
We didn't even talk about the running backs.
It was the running backs, defensive ends, and the tight ends in this year's class are 2-for-1s.
Yep.
So
it's like a 2-year class.
The normal guys that would be drafted, let's say there's 15 running backs in a class that are going to be drafted normally. There's 30 this year.
Yeah,
tight ends. If there's 8
deep.
tight ends drafted in the class, there's 16 tight. Like there's double the amount of skilled positions at running back, tight end, and defensive ends are so deep too, dude.
And D line in general, like
the D line in general,
for sure, is great. Walter Nolan, he's a guy I'm really high on. I considered him for today. I love his first step. He's an elite run blocker, and I think there's pass rush work that he's going to develop into an elite defensive tackle. He's so quick, 5-star prospect as well. He was actually the number 1 recruit in his rookie class, which included Travis Hunter. So that's how much of an athlete Walter Nolan is. I think he's going to be a guy I'm going to be higher on in the process than most people. But I am doing a defensive lineman edge rusher for my prospect. Do you want me to start, or do you want to go with your dude? All right,
you can go.
I'm doing Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M.
Okay,
edge rusher.
I like it.
Going into the season, wasn't overly high on him, and even like the little bit I watched this year, he only had 2.5 sacks this year. It didn't look great, and like I'm just like, and everybody's like, this guy, like, he's got the intangibles, is a term everybody uses, and I try not to like grade guys based off intangibles, because I want to you can have all the intangibles, but if you're not putting in the tape, why am I betting on you? But this dude, 6'5", 281 pounds on the edge. He can play inside a little bit, but he's opposite of Mike Green. Mike Green 6'3", 250. This guy 6'5", 281, and he had a rep against Emory Jones at the Senior Bowl where he just got around this dude and he looked at the scouts and he was just like, I'm fucking him. I'm that guy. And like the intangibles show, and he's like putting in the work. Like he's moving up, and I hate to like try to just baseball like stuff in terms of just like what I've seen recently and how I adjust my board, but I think this guy's going to be my edge 3 behind Abdul Carter and Mike Green. I think this guy's got superstar written all over him. He's a freak. He's got prototypical size, like I said, 6'5", 281. Length, power. He's explosive on the first step. Short area agility. He's got a good dip and rip, and he can power through you. It's kind of like Cam Jordan from the Saints, like a bigger bodied edge who kind of does everything really well. He's still a little raw as a pass rush. Like I said, he only had like 2.5 sacks this year. But if he can develop that pass rush plan, lean more into his power instead of trying to be a speed guy, I think we're looking at a Pro Bowler. Like his length, his power, it's incredible. Like he can bull right through you. And if he can just temper that and just like make that his focus and trying to be a dip and rip guy, like he can dip and rip, but he's more explosive if he's just trying to run you over because he can. Even if you draft him and he's a 8-sack guy, you're getting an elite run defender at the edge. Like you're not going to find many better edge rushers in this class better at stopping the run than Shamar Stewart. I think, and he's 21. He'll be 21 come his rookie season. So if he can develop that consistency, kind of develop a little more as a pass rusher, hone into that power, I think we could be looking at a dude who's going to be top 10 in this draft class. 5-star recruit.
He has the talent, dude. Like he has the pure talent to be top 10 in this draft class, 100%. Texas A&M occasionally has these freak edge linebacker guys that come out, dude, and they're phenomenal, dude. So
like I hate to say that like he's gonna go on like a Trayvon Walker type rise, because Trayvon Walker was all traits, no tape.
Yeah,
and he was all intangibles.
Like
and Trayvon Walker's turned into a good player. He has.
He has.
Not,
He has.
and
100%.
if you ignore the fact that he was picked first overall, you're looking at a guy who's a hit pick. He was a hit pick. He succeeded. But yeah, Jamar Stewart, 5-star recruit. Started 12 games or played in all 12 games as a true freshman. Started half of them. 2023, he was named the most improved defensive player at the end of the season, and then he stepped into a full-time starting role this year. And I'm not sure. Like I said, there's a better run defender on the line, edgewise, than him. Like, you're not moving this guy, and he's a freak. Like, the way he's like, you blend his power, size, speed. I think you have the makings of a true superstar.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's got crazy talent. Put it with the right coach, we're cooking. There's a lot of guys in this draft class that I really like their traits. So, speaking of traits,
I've noticed this class. It's more trying to predict traits compared to tape. Whereas last year's class, like, you could see on the tape, you didn't have to do a lot of projecting. So way different class, and that's why I think that's what I like about this class. Like, the more I've dove into this class, the more I like way more guys than I thought I was gonna like.
Oh, and yeah, for sure.
It is a lot of projecting, which is cool, and that's why I think, like, come time we do our big boards, like, I think we're going to see a lot of discrepancies, and that's not a knock on the talent themselves or a knock on us as evaluators, couch evaluators, but I think it's just how open-ended this class is, because it's a lot of mix of, like, you got your COVID super seniors, and you got a lot of young guys coming in as well, like true juniors in this class, and it is a lot of projecting, and like you said, you have a projection, dude. Throw them out.
I do. But yeah, like, they're like most of the, like, position wise, from, like, you have like the top 1, 2, 3 guys, but after that, it's literally it's anyone. If there's a handful of guys, and I'm going with one of those guys at quarterback. We have our top 2, questionably top 2, because a lot of guys have Jackson Dart too. There are NFL guys from the McShay show. Was reported that people have Jackson Dart as quarterback 2 in this draft class. So Jackson Dart's my guy. I deep dove him the last 2 days. So Jackson Dart, 6'2", 220. He's 21 years old. He'll be 22 come the season. Last 3 years at Ole Miss, and his freshman year was at USC. This was his best statistical season in his career.
Great this year.
He led the SEC, which is the hardest conference in football. He led them in passing yards at over 4,000, completion percentage at 69.3, yards per average 10.8. He had 29 touchdowns to 6 picks. He was first team all SEC. So all the reports coming out of the Senior Bowl are amazing right now. He's stepping up to be that leader. He's getting the guys, like, on his team are rallying around him. So you see that he's a guy that can take a step forward in being a great leader. He's a great locker room guy.
Intangibles.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, it's showing early at the Senior Bowl. He's a 2-sport athlete, which I love. He has a baseball background.
Which Pete Carroll's going to love him. Raiders quarterback.
I love 2-sport athletes, especially when it's a quarterback. Dude, like, that's rare. And a lot of them are quarterback baseball translation. A lot of those guys usually pan out. He's always super relaxed and confident. I love it. Always seems to be in rhythm, which I love, dude. He's super consistent when he's not getting the snot knocked out of him. I've noticed he's willing to stand in that pocket to the last second, Big Ben style, and then just get molly-whopped. But I can guarantee that ball is getting out. He does eat a lot of sacks, like Shadur, but that can be changed with a good offensive line, a good coach.
And sometimes eating sacks, like, you think it's like a super negative. Sometimes, like, that's not, like, you can't have the problem. Like, Joe Burrow eats a ton of sacks. Joe Burrow's not a bad quarterback. He's trying to force the ball downfield, make this high explosive offense. And, like, sometimes there's just high IQ sacks. Like, that's a crazy thing to say, but, like, I think that's the case. Like, a lot of Shadur Sanders are him just trying to push the ball down the field. Same with Jackson.
He's waiting.
Trying to make the big play. It's not a case of him, like, running around. Shadur does do that. He runs around and takes a sack, but a lot of those sacks are him just trying to, like, make that final play, get that guy to the spot, and it sometimes it does work out that way.
Especially in the Ole Miss offense, like, it's a lot of the first read kind of things with Jackson Dart in the offense that they're running. So he's looking at his first read, waiting for him to get open, because that's the offense that they're running. He's told not to keep looking at all these reads. Look at this guy, look at that guy, go back to your first read. Look at your first read, look at your second read, go back to your first. I think he's going to be a really good NFL quarterback. He's got great ball timing. The ball's always in the right place. He's a super high football IQ kind of guy, and I like that as well. He can adapt to not having his key players. Freaking Judkins transferred to Ohio State, and the offense completely switched. Like, without the Jackson Dart with Judkins wasn't running the offense. They took Judkins away from Jackson Dart, and Jackson Dart stepped up to that leadership role, and then the offense ran through Jackson Dart. And it was a completely different offense this year without Judkins, and Jackson Dart had his statistically best season. And you love to see that.
He really elevated those receivers too, like Trey Harris.
100%,
It's tough to, like, he's another one to, like, evaluate him, and Juice Wells, the other receiver over there, like, how much of their stuff is a product of the Ole Miss offense, or how much of it is just, like, they're really good receivers, or is it Jackson Dart throwing them into, like, the spots they need to be, making them great? Like, that's where it's tough to figure those guys out. Yeah.
Like, Dart's really good at getting the ball to where you're going to be. He throws people open all the time. And that's something, as a Giants fan, Danny Jones never did, dude. Like, Danny Jones wouldn't pull the trigger unless you were open. Jackson Dart knows you're going to be open before you're open, and he can pull the trigger and get it, especially when it's midfield, dude. Like, his middle of the field throws are peppered, dude. They're flawless. They're always on a line and dimed in there. There's a lot of NFL traits that this kid has, dude. He could be molded into any kind of quarterback that a system needs him to be, because he's still young, dude. He's 21. He'll be 22. But he has a lot of experience, too. Like, he's played 3 seasons of college ball, and he's gotten better almost every single year. He's turned over the ball less every single year. I wasn't extremely high on Jackson Dart a month ago, but as of right now, he's definitely in my top 5 quarterbacks going into the class. If not higher. Like, he's not going to pass Shadir or Cam. I'm going to tell everyone that. But come our rankings, there's a legitimate chance Jackson Dart's 3 or 4, and it's not out of the realm that he might end up getting traded into, like, the first round to get the 5th-year option. Jackson Dart might be the 3rd quarterback taken in the first round.
Yeah, it's possible. Like, him and Milroe,
he has it. That's what he has. He has it.
Intangible guys, and, like, it's just a matter of, like, projecting where they're in. Milroe's struggled here at the Senior Bowl, and I'm not going to write him off for his struggles, because, like,
I think that
some
just
of his
shows the
tape's
human
great.
side of Milroe, and I'm fine with him struggling at the Senior Bowl.
Jalen Milroe throws the best deep ball in this class, hands down.
It's not even
and
close.
It's accurate too. Like, people want to compare him to Anthony Richardson, but, like, his deep ball is on money 90%
every
of the time.
Yeah,
middle of the field, struggle. You don't know what you're getting in the middle of the field there from Jalen Milroe, and he hasn't had the greatest Senior Bowl. His hands are small, whatnot. But I'm not going to let that change my evaluation of how talented he is. And same with Jackson Dart. Like, Jackson Dart, sometimes I really like his tapes. Other times it's like it's hard to read him because, like, it's so quick. Like, first read, boom, pass off.
It's
Trey Harris,
super quick. Yeah.
And so you don't get to see him going through his progressions pre-snap or post-snap. So, like, it's hard, but, like, prototypically, he's got a great arm. I think his arm's better than people don't think he's got, like, a can. I think he's got a great arm. I was just going to
bring that up. I agree. I think his
arm's better than people are giving him credit for. His accuracy, I think, second to Shedeur Sanders in this class. I think they're both incredibly accurate quarterbacks. Yeah, Jackson Dart's got a great build. He's tough as hell. Him and Shedeur are similar. Like, they're tough kids. Like, they will fucking get the shit kicked out of them. They'll be right back up. Next play, try to run it down your throat. The intangibles are there for Jackson Dart, and it's really just projecting whether he can develop into an NFL style quarterback, learn his reads, go through those progressions. I think they're there. I'm higher on Jackson Dart than I was 1 month ago. 1 month ago, he was like
100%
QB8 for me.
I think I had him like 6 or 7. So yeah, almost the same boat.
And now he's probably going to be in my top 5 without a doubt.
Yeah, I agree. He's right there with Milroe. I look at them guys as they're completely different quarterbacks, but this is going to sound crazy. They're also completely the same quarterback. They are so what they can be kind of guys, and they're just so completely different. Like, Jackson Dart doesn't do anything elite, but he does everything good. Where Milroe is an amazing athlete. He had 20 rushing touchdowns this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's an amazing deep ball, like you said. It's always on a dot. Where Dart doesn't, quote for quote, have an NFL arm. But I'm sorry, didn't Bo Nix get hit for not having an NFL arm?
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? Bo Nix took a team to the playoffs. Bo Nix and Jackson Dart, I think Jackson Dart has a better arm than Bo Nix for deep ball wise. So like it's crazy for people to say Jackson Dart doesn't have an NFL arm. He does. At the end of the day, like it's not even a question. I think he does. Especially like middle of the field, short game stuff. I get his short game stuff is inconsistent. Like he'll miss a screen pass, but then hit a 15-yard dime and then a 50-yard touchdown. Like Jackson, the short stuff can be taught. And I'm really looking at Jackson Dart as a Giants fan with Brian Dable. I think that could be flawless. He's a much better passer than Danny Jones. He can read a defense better than Danny Jones. And he's also very athletic like Danny Jones was. Jackson Dart had 500 rushing yards this year. He can pick up so many. Like if the option's not there, he's going to pick up the first down with his legs. He's super athletic too for a guy that's 6'2", 220, and he's not quote for quote athletic. Jackson Dart's got a lot of NFL traits at the end of the day. Yeah. And I slept on him. I'll be the first one to admit it. I wasn't really high. But yeah, I got him right there at Milroe, dude. I'm a big fan right now.
He kind of reminds me, like athletic-wise, he's a little shorter than this guy, Ryan Tannehill. He's sneaky athletic. He can move. Ryan Tannehill didn't have the best arm, but his arm was good enough. A good deep throw. He could throw the ball. He could sling it around the field. Pretty good. And like you saw that in Tennessee, once he got like a chance to be in a systematic offense that benefited him, he was incredible for them. And like I see that sort of like I think that's like maybe that's more career arc than play type, but like I do see the similarity. Like they're both really Tannehill a little better athlete because he was a wide receiver, but Dart could run. I think Dart's floor at this point is like a Gardner Minshew career where he's a spot starter, could start, just bounce around the league and just be like a fill-in backup who can sling it and win you some games and also play smart football. Like people want to just give Gardner Minshew this like he's this gunslinger. He's really toned that down a bit the last 2 years.
He's become a real quarterback.
He's become a game manager, and I think at worst that's Jackson Dart's career is just bouncing around like Gardner Minshew. But like I think he could be a Ryan Tannehill level starter in terms of like play style, like right system, could be elite, really good team, getting to the right track. I don't think he's going to be a quarterback who could go to a bad team and elevate them per se. I think that's his ceiling, but like I think he's better off going to a better team. Like if he went to the Giants, and the Giants, they have a franchise left tackle, they have a franchise wide receiver.
Yeah,
get another line. Like say you miss out on Ward and Shadur, and then at 2 you go Travis Hunter. So you have either corner, wide receiver, wherever you want to put him, and then you get Jackson Dart, trade back up, or draft him in the second. I think then you're building towards being a competitive franchise.
Yeah, I agree to that. Like, I think I'm just really looking at Jackson Dart in the Giants system, and I really think he would flourish with a guy like Brian Dable. I think he could really mold even Jalen Milroe. Like, I think Brian Dable can get his hands on one of those guys and really turn them into an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, we can't look at the quarterback class from last year because Jackson Dart as QB3 isn't QB3 in last year's draft class. He's probably QB6. He's above Spencer Rattler.
Well, 6 would have been McCarthy or Bo Nix.
Excuse me. But yeah, that's exactly.
7.
So he would have been 7.
But
so
if you count Ward and Shadur, though.
Oh, well, that's true. Then we're looking at 10. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but that's not a knock on him. That's just last year's quarterback class is an outlier.
Exactly. Yeah, that's like a once every 10-year, 15-year kind of thing where you're getting 5, 6 first-round quarterbacks.
I think next year's quarterback class is gonna be nice.
It's good. And as a Giants fan, that kills me, dude, that we're sitting third in a year of shitty-ass quarterbacks. No offense to Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders and the rest of the guys. But we're literally getting sandwiched between 2 elite quarterback classes, and then we get this. So I just hope we make the right decision, man.
We'll see, And who's say these guys could pop off. We don't know. Like
I like a lot of the talent. I'm not huge come like the back end of the top 10.
These guys are a lot of projecting QB wise, projecting their ceilings and
yeah.
But hey, Jackson Dart, I love that shout out. I'm definitely rising up for
For
Dart
sure.
here recently. All right, yeah, there you go. Shamar Stewart, edge rusher, Texas A&M. Jackson Dart, quarterback from Ole Miss. And that'll wrap up the podcast. We'll be back next week. We'll shoot for Monday. If not, maybe we'll do Tuesday. We'll do it a little
We'll figure
earlier.
it
Do
out.
the Super Bowl little stretch out stuff. And I'll do it. Drafted Up Podcast. Follow us over on Twitter at draftedup_pod. More importantly, like, rate, subscribe, review over on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you watch or listen to the show. Share, tell a friend, spread the word. We appreciate it. There's no off season for us. Fantasy football, regular season football, it's over. We're going right into the off season, diving into the draft class, stuff like that. We'll catch you guys here next week. Support our friends over at WN Cafe Colazzo. Support the podcast any way you can. We appreciate you guys. Peace and love.
Adios. Bye.